And welcome to Cliffhangers and Cocktails podcast with Amy Sissel, that's me.
And Shea McLeod, that's me.
We are both USA Today bestselling authors of paranormal women's fiction, among other things. And this podcast is brought to you by the Caftan Coven.
Woohoo! Today is the 10th episode, and we're going to be talking with my friend, the amazing JOANY Kane. And I'm super excited because for those of you who don't know JOANY Kane, she is the person who wrote the screenplay for Hallmark's most famous Christmas movie that actually launched the whole Christmas movie on Hallmark craze. And
it's so cool.
I know,
Sorry.
right? It's called the Christmas card. It's called the Christmas card, and I love it. I love it. I love it. So if you love Hallmark movies, you should really see it. But what we're going to talk to her today is going to be about this witchy project she has, because she's super into witches and pirates, and I love it. And she's got this witchy project that benefits some different charities that she selected. So we're going to chat with her about that. We're also going to be talking to her, we're going to be talking about Litha coming up, and just, our usual drinks, witchy stuff, and shenanigans.
Hey, shenanigans.
Yes. And today's affirmation is, I am open to receiving nourishment, growth, and abundance. And this is a great affirmation for basically this season with Litha. I love my cocktail. I just have to show this off for those of you who are on YouTube. It's a Litha cocktail here, and Amy's showing off hers. They're so cute and pretty. I just love them. And they're, for those who aren't seeing this, they're lovely and fizzy and bubbly and pink, and they're in champagne flutes, and we're going to talk about them in a little bit. But
theoretically, we'll hold them up again when we talk about the cocktail, but my glass might be significantly emptier.
Exactly, which is why I wanted to show it off at the beginning.
Good call.
And also, I have to tell you this thing that happened. I know this is totally off topic, but I'm super excited because I was recently interviewed for a podcast about K-dramas. I have mentioned
oh my God.
I know. I have mentioned my love of K-dramas before. And my friend Sarah Rosette has a podcast called How I Met My K-Drama.
Oh, no.
And so, yeah, we talked about all kinds of things like the white van of doom. And and if you ever watch a K-drama, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's always, like, regardless of whether it's a romantic comedy or a thriller or some ridiculous bonkers paranormal, there's always this white van of doom that comes plowing in and, like, into a car, and, like, I don't know, terrible things happen.
Is it out yet? Is that podcast out yet?
No, we just recorded it this past weekend, so it will be out, she said, in probably July or August.
Okay.
So I will definitely let everybody know when that's up, because we do talk a lot about paranormal K-dramas. So I think that's actually kind of on topic.
It is on topic.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I really like Sarah. She's a great host, and it's a fun podcast. She chats to a lot of different people, and gets their take on K-dramas. So we recommended some to each other, and it's just a great place to get recommendations. And
yeah, we'll definitely post that when Shea is on there. But what's the name of the podcast again, in case someone wants to check it out now?
It's called How I Met My K-Drama. And I know it's on Spotify, and I'm sure other places. And she's got an Instagram as well under that name, so you can check it out.
Cool.
Yeah.
That sounds so fun.
So fun.
Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about Midsummer. We should start looking up how to pronounce things before we record.
I mean, we really should.
I always thought it was Litha.
And I always thought it was Litha. So I'm going to do the Google because,
This is important. Isn't it great that we can just do the Google?
I know. Do you remember those times when we had to print off, like, a map? It is Litha. Ooh, okay.
You were right and I was wrong.
Excellent. I mean, not that you were wrong, but just
no, it's
that
cool.
we have the
It's always nice to be right.
Yeah, it's like that we used to have to like print off maps and like drive around like pirates, but nowadays, actually, I'm pre even printing off maps. I had a folding paper map. So
when I moved to Los Angeles, I got a Thomas guide because
yeah,
Los Angeles is
massive.
famously big.
Yeah. It's well known for that. Yeah.
So you'd have like each map would just be a little bit of Los Angeles. It was like this thick,
Yeah.
maybe an inch and a half thick, and you'd have to like flip through so you could see the street level detail if you were going anywhere that wasn't on the freeway.
Yeah.
And then we switched to printing MapQuest.
So stupid. Anyway, back to Litha.
Litha. So Litha falls on or around June 21st every year in the Northern Hemisphere. Obviously, it's in December 21st-ish in the Southern Hemisphere. Mm-hmm. So shout out to Yule.
Yeah.
All of our Yule Australian peeps. Friends.
Down under.
And it marks the longest day and shortest night of the year. It symbolizes the peak of the sun's power as it bathes the earth with its abundance of warmth and light. Mm-hmm. The word Litha itself is derived from the Anglo-Saxon word for midsummer. Mm-hmm. So solstice is an energetically charged day and an important one to set intentions. Direct your intentions on the themes of this phase, which are patience, nourishment, and trust. Mm. And the heart of the Litha celebrations is the recognition and reverence for the sun's life-giving energy, a powerful symbol of vitality, strength, and the masculine aspect of divinity. So when we gather for Litha, we gather to honor and express gratitude for the sun's warmth and light, which sustains the life on this planet.
And it's a really good time, especially, well, it's a really good time for kitchen witches and also for green witches, because Litha celebrations are a lot about food and like nurturing and nourishing. And it's also a time to really connect with nature because, things are in bloom, there's color, there's scent, there's harvest, and a lot of Litha celebrations occur outdoors. So, natural settings, fields, forests, and different people celebrate it different ways, but there's always like various rituals, dances, and ceremonies, and they all tend to revolve around seeking harmony and a deeper connection to the natural world. And
being naked.
Sometimes I have never
naked in the woods.
I know I have never danced Sky Cloud. That's a little bit I'm a little bit repressed, but I
haven't either, and I'm not repressed. It just hasn't come up.
Well, maybe one of these days when you're in Portugal, we'll have to find a field and dance Sky Cloud. Litha was also in the early days a celebration of the Celtic goddess Danu, who represents earth and fruitfulness. So that's cool.
Like the equivalent of Demeter.
Yeah, essentially, I think.
Mythology.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's a lot of correlation between those. And fire holds a significant role during Litha because it symbolizes, purification, transformation, and also the sun itself, the energy of the sun. So traditionally, bonfires are a big thing. And sometimes in some cultures, people will actually kind of jump over the fire, usually not a bonfire. They do a slightly lower flame, but they'll jump over the fire to symbolize that they're leaving behind the old and embracing new beginnings. And if you don't want to jump over a fire, or you don't have like a fire pit, you could do a similar thing by writing what you're leaving behind and burning it, like with a candle or in the barbecue. I've literally done witchcraft in a barbecue before, or just with a match over the toilet,
And if you are out there doing your skyclad dancing, be really careful if you're jumping over a fire.
Yes.
Just extra careful. Super extra careful.
Yes. You don't want to get singed in important places.
I'm sorry I even said that now.
So we have there's a lot of great rituals around Litha, just that are really easy to incorporate into your celebrations. And the most basic is setting your intentions. It's a really good time. You've got the energy from the sun, all that powerful energy, and everything is just growing and expanding. So it's a great time to sort of expand your own mind, expand your ideas for your business, expand your goals, expand your desires, and write that down, write that intention down, for what you want to bring into your life in the next few months.
Another good thing to do is to make a gratitude list. It's a great opportunity to show gratitude for everything that you have, all of the wonderful things that have happened in the next year, to thank Mother Earth for her bounty. And it's really a nice time to sit down and acknowledge the successes that you've had. Don't caveat them. Don't be like, this is good, but it could be better. Just because things are good.
Yeah.
And this is a good time to give thanks without like trying to step it back on yourself.
Right. Like a lot of people, and I do this myself, I have a tendency to look at what I haven't accomplished and obsess over, oh, I have all these things to do, and I forget to celebrate what I have accomplished. Like I just finished a book and sent it off to my editor this past week. And so to celebrate, I made a special cocktail and, ordered some Hawaiian food. So, it's a good time because it's really easy to get down and go, oh, I don't have this thing, or I don't have this thing, or this thing is going wrong. But what about all the good things? What about all the things that are going right? And so when you make that list, it kind of puts you into that attitude of gratitude and just sort of raises your vibration and opens your awareness to accepting abundance. So it's really great. Also, lighting a fire. We talked about that, but you can, gather, like we like to do with our little Caftan Coven, is gather around a little fire in the backyard and drink wine and eat cheese. And but yeah, it's just like, so you can have a potluck with some friends, have a few friends over, but if you don't have an outdoor fire pit, just burn some candles, anything to just sort of celebrate the sun and the warmth and the light.
Ritual is kind of what you make of it. There doesn't have to be like, you're not doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You can't do it wrong.
No. I mean, if you have cats and you have to put out an electric tea light, that's fine. It's about intent and doing what works for you in your own path.
Another nice thing you can do is to make floral wreaths. So if you have flowers in your garden, that would work, or you can get some, probably anywhere flowers are sold.
I imagine that's true, yes.
And it doesn't even have to, I think I would probably want a temporary floral wreath with real flowers, but if that's not practical, store-bought are fine. And just hang it on your door.
You can also gather and dry herbs and to use throughout the coming year, particularly in your kitchen witchery, but also in other forms of the craft. You can use it, in your teas. You can use it for some people make incense out of herbs, or they use it to instead of sage to smoke the house. But and also, you could make instead of a floral wreath, you could make an herb wreath if that's your jam.
Yeah, don't make a jam wreath. That would be tricky.
That would be that would be awkward. Yes, that would not go well.
And then celebrate with food. And celebrate everything with food, honestly.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on.
But if you're celebrating Litha with food, strawberries. Strawberries are they're so quintessentially summer. And where we live in Pacific Northwest in Portland, it is strawberry season, and there's so many amazing strawberries.
Beautiful strawberries.
Oh, yeah. I love it. And we got some at the farmers market on Saturday, so that's what I'm using today for the cocktail. Anyway, strawberries and honey, summer squash, mead, lemon, summer herbs, fruits and veg that are round and sun-colored things like tomatoes and citrus, but strawberries. Anything cooked with fire. Lots of fire.
Lots of fire.
Have a barbecue, bake a savory tomato tart or a sweet lemon cake or strawberry shortcake.
Strawberry shortcake. So good. So today's drink is a Summer Love Litha cocktail. It's perfect for Litha itself or just the season in general.
Or anytime.
Anytime. It's very similar to a French 75. It's basically a take on a French 75 with some little witchy twists. And the energy of this drink is love, happiness, and peace. So if you need a little peace and love in your life, a little joy, this is the perfect drink. So it's really pretty simple. It's 1 ounce of gin. It's 3/4 ounces of lemon juice, 3/4 ounces of honey syrup, which we used last week, I believe. And these two things are optional. I put them in my drink. Amy did not put them in hers. 1/2 ounce of Saint Germain elderflower liqueur and 2 dashes of lavender bitters. You also need a strawberry and some Prosecco or champagne. I went with some sparkling rosé.
I did champagne.
I knew you would.
But it's not your regular champagne.
Oh.
It was made with a different grape.
Okay.
Please don't ask me what grape, because I tried to remember, and now all I remember is it started with an M. Meunier?
But you could also, if you don't like the florals, you could also use like raspberry liqueur, which is also very summery, and also love is part of its energy. And yes, so you just kind of, it's pretty simple. You just sort of muddle the strawberry and get it nice and juicy in the bottom, and then of your cocktail shaker. Then just add all the ingredients except for the Prosecco or champagne. Please don't put that in there. You will have a very messy surprise. And some ice. Give it a good shake. Pour it into a cocktail glass. Add some chilled champagne or Prosecco, and then garnish it with the strawberry. Easy peasy. And it's so tasty.
And I just kind of made mine like a French 75.
Yeah.
Because that's what I wanted.
And that's fine. You can that's the beauty of this. You can tweak it however you like. Yeah. So you can just make a straight up French 75 if you don't want to do anything else. Put a little strawberry in it.
Strawberry.
Yes, 75. French 75. So you've got those strawberry summer energies.
And I have to tell you that once again, I did not bring the recipe upstairs with me when I went to make it, so I had to do
and
this
you made it with
my
your heart. Again, so not surprised.
I forgot the lemon.
Oh no. Well,
which, that goes in a French 75.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't know how I forgot it.
Well, the strawberries have a certain tartness, so I'm sure it still tastes delicious.
Oh, it's delightful. But I was sitting here drinking it like, what? This doesn't taste quite what I was expecting. And it's because I forgot the lemon. And then the rest of the measurements were just measuring with my heart. But it looks like I did okay.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. And if it tastes good, who cares?
Yep. I just make cocktails with my heart now. If I came down here and said, I followed the recipe exactly and made 0 deviations, and I remembered to look at it,
I'd probably grow a little faint or wonder if you hadn't been possessed.
Yeah.
But like,
that's the sign that I'm not me anymore.
That's your I've been abducted sign.
That, or I was going to use champagne, but I don't really like it.
Oh, definitely. I would be like, who are you and where is Amy Sissel? I would have the cops on the line. She's been kidnapped.
Call a couple priests, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a demon involved.
I'd end up on 60 Minutes. You know, it'd be a whole thing.
It would be a whole thing. But never fear. I measured with my heart and I love champagne.
Excellent.
Still me.
Excellent. So coming up now is going to be our interview with JOANY. JOANY Kane is super awesome. She's a friend of mine, And she has got such an interesting story and we have so many cool things we're going to talk to her about. So first I'm going to read her bio here. It says Joni got her start working for the documentary production company Florentine Films, known for Ken Burns, serving as associate producer on a couple of PBS documentaries, one about the history of tuberculosis in America and the other about the history of interstate highway system. Her job,
so cool,
right? Nice. That's super cool. I'm like, Ken Burns, yeah. Her job pre-internet was to travel the country and do historical research and scout filming locations. Oh my God, that sounds amazing. Joni has optioned/sold over 24 screenplays and has had over a dozen movies made. Her first script, a slapstick comedy, 86 Management, received sage advice from Bette Midler. Lighten up on the Jimmy Buffett songs.
A lot of songs by Jimmy Buffett in the script. I had his whole soundtrack in the script.
That's awesome. I love it. Joni's first produced movie, and I'm going to insert myself here for a minute because I have to say this is still one of my all-time favorite Christmas movies. The Christmas Card broke all-time rating records for the Hallmark Channel when it aired in 2006, received an Emmy nomination, and is credited as one of the main instigators on today's holiday romance movie craze. The movie was...
I feel like doing a Wayne and Garth, we are not worthy kind of situation.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. I mean, this is like meeting Agatha Christie for me if she was still alive. You know, it's like, woo! Oh my gosh, my favorite movie. The person who wrote my favorite movie. I'm like way more excited to meet the writer of a movie than I am the actors.
Most of the time.
Yeah. The movie was filmed in Nevada City, California. Tourism increased so significantly because of the movie that Nevada City held an honorary event for her, dubbing May 19th JOANY KANE Day. Oh my goodness, gosh. You have a day named after you. That's amazing.
I don't even know if I can be here anymore. I'm overwhelmed.
I got like the red carpet treatment, and that was like so much better than like Hollywood red carpet treatment.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Small town people, and it was just, you know,
okay. I'll have some of that vibe in my life.
100%.
Yes. Okay, Joni's A Christmas Kiss broke all-time rating records for Ion and spawned 2 sequels. That is also a super cute movie. I really enjoy it.
First one,
yeah. In 2013, Joni came up with an OTT idea inspired by her involvement with the romance novel community, a streaming service dedicated to turning romance novels into movies and series. She coined the name Passionflix, purchased the domain passionflix.com, and spent the next couple of years trying to sell her idea of 50 Shades Twilight meets Netflix to Hollywood. In February 2016, she had a launch with Tosca Musk and Gina Panavianco to discuss the movie projects and told them about her idea, and a partnership was formed. The OTT launched in September 2017. Passionflix was brought to life by the collaboration of 3 women and will forever have 3 co-founders. Joni continues to champion writers and now mentors writers, helping them get their content to the screen. She's devoted to creating witchy content about empowerment and embracing our magic, as well as launching a No Doubt nonprofit inspired by a love story that came to her during the season of Lent.
And that also has a witchy element to it too that I'll bring up when we get to
Excellent. So welcome, Joni. We are like so thrilled to have you here.
I'm so good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
All right. So like I'm kind of starstruck, a little bit overwhelmed with your awesomeness.
Well, I am too for you guys. This is so cool.
But I'm gonna dive right into the first and most important question.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite cocktail or mocktail?
Okay, very good question. All right, so it depends on what I'm writing and what I'm working on. But at the moment, because I have 2 projects, including No Doubt, and Lanterns on the Beach, which also has a witchy element, they both have a strong Cape Cod section of the story. Like Lanterns on the Beach is actually set on Cape Cod. So right now, my big cocktail is the Cape Codder, which is basically vodka and cranberry juice, and vodka. It has to be V1 because V1 vodka is based here in Massachusetts, and it has to be Ocean Spray because Ocean Spray is also based here in Massachusetts. So that's my cocktail du jour right now, just because so it's getting to be the summertime. So Cape Cod is so summer.
Yeah.
But in Lanterns on the Beach, we have, I also really, really love championing microbrews.
So today has been, as I explained earlier, I lost my computer, which who does that? But also I decided I would have a mimosa during our
Cool.
cocktails and cliffhangers. So here is my mimosa because I actually drank the rest of my orange juice.
You go, girl, on a Friday.
My mimosa
it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
A glass of wine is your mimosa.
It's a glass of sparkling wine. We'll just I have a Mandarin sparkling water, so we'll just pretend.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh, yes. Okay, very good. I have a Diet Pepsi, but I have it in my.
Oh, fantastic.
Very good.
And I know it's not witchy, but when we get to the witchy talk, pirates play into the witchy thing in a very significant way.
That's true. And of course, it is, we're doing this in the morning.
No, we're not. It's not morning.
Okay. Okay, fine. Anyway, I haven't had my coffee, so this is my coffee in my Zero of Fucks mug.
Great mug. That's so cool.
It actually is morning. That's why I was going to have a mimosa.
But I love this because it looks like a tarot card. And actually, it's based on a real tarot deck, which Amy has the tarot deck. I gave you for a reason at a time.
Yes, it was a good reason and the perfect time for it.
So, Joanie, tell us about your author journey. So when did you begin writing? And we already talked about how many scripts that you have had published, etc. But
so do we want to start with the witchy fun?
Sure. So we know that you have written a lot of Hallmark Christmas movies. Yeah. So we know that is your jam, and you've done some other little projects, but so how did you make that transition? Tell us about the journey from making that transition to now you're writing these witchy things and you're into witchy books and witchy movies. Tell us about that journey. Yeah.
Okay, so after I got done with Passion Flicks in 2018, I watched this podcast called New England Legends, and I watched this episode that was about Charles Dickens. Who, and this is a very interesting story. He, wrote A Christmas Carol, which, is very famous. As ghosts, no witches, but as ghosts. And, he wrote that back in, the 1800s, 1840 something, I think.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. He wrote it because back in Victorian England, the way they celebrated Christmas is they would just get together, sit around the fireplace or the wood stove, because there's really no electricity back then. There were no solar panels or anything like that. And they would drink hot toddies and get schnockered and tell ghost stories. That was their big Christmas tradition. And Charles Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol in honor of that tradition. And it took off. It like wildflower. Once it was published, everybody loved it. They wanted him to come to America and to give it a one-man show where he'd stand on stage and basically tell the story. And he refused to come to America because he didn't believe in slavery. So it had to be after the Civil War. Then he came to America and he gave his first performance of it in Boston, and he just it went viral back in the 1800s. But everybody just fell in love with him with the story. And at the time, the president was President Grant, and he saw how popular this was. So it was President Grant who made Christmas an official holiday in America, thinking that would bring everybody together. So I thought, oh, that's really cool. I want to write a story that sort of is like a Christmassy ghost story, because there's Christmas slasher movies, but there's no really cool Christmassy ghost story. Right. So I wrote a very scary Christmas story, and I wrote the female lead as a witch. And I'm like, why? I wonder why I made her a witch. And I didn't really understand at the time why I did that. But then when I started to learn more about Charles Dickens, I learned that he actually had a really good friendship with Washington Irving. He read a book of short stories by Washington Irving that movie, A Legend of Sleepy Hollow in it, but they had a Christmas story in it. And it
Uh-huh.
was reading Washington Irving that inspired Dickens to also write A Christmas Carol and set it at Christmas.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
They had this little friendship, so I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So then I started getting into Sleepy Hollow and Washington Irving to find out more about sort of that. I went down that rabbit hole, and I watched. There's a website or page on Facebook called The Queen of Halloween, and she's a
Oh,
witchy person. I started to follow
okay.
her page, and I loved her page, and she was living in Sleepy Hollow at the time, and she did this little tour of Sleepy Hollow in the month of October, and I'm thinking this is probably like 2019, 2020 then at this point. And
Mm-hmm.
I watched it, and she sort of walked through town and was giving the history of everything. And she went to the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery where Washington Irving's buried, and she stopped at this gravestone for a woman named Huldah, and she told the story of the woman named Huldah. And Huldah back in the 1700s was considered a witch,
Mm.
and she lived alone in the woods. She built herself her own little sort of cabin by herself, and she
Wow.
lived out there, and the town, shunned her because they thought she was a witch
Of
and they didn't want
course.
anything to do with her. And she was elderly and she was alone and wasn't married, so totally shunned. But she didn't shun the town. Like if anybody was ill or sick, because she knew herbs and she was sort of
Hmm.
into homeopathy,
Hmm.
she would like bring them herbs and try to help them get better. And they would take it, but still shun her. And then, this is during the Revolutionary War. There was a skirmish in the forest near her little cabin she had built,
Yeah.
between the British Redcoats and the local militia. And the local militia was just getting just their asses kicked by the Redcoats. Huldah was a sharpshooter, so she just
Oh,
grabs her
Oh my
gun,
gosh.
runs into the skirmish, gets them all organized, saves the day, and
holy cow.
gets killed during the skirmish.
Oh my gosh.
And because she just like went right into the front of the battle, she's getting them all, telling them what to do, and the British kill her. So they go to her cabin and
Hmm.
they find a Bible, and everybody's all freaked out. It's like, she's a witch. What does she have a Bible for? What does she have a Bible for? And then they find also with the Bible that she had these little gold pieces, and she said, if anything happens to me, please give these gold pieces to the widows of the men who died fighting for our independence.
Hmm.
Oh.
So, and
Oh, that's amazing.
it took like a couple hundred years before, I think it was like 1996 or something, that they finally put a gravestone up for Huldah, and her story started to get told.
Oh my
That's
So
so
goodness.
fascinating.
as soon as I heard that story, it's like, okay, I gotta start doing witchy stuff.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
a witch. She's got a
It was like
Bible. She's a
she,
sharpshooter.
yeah, it was like
What
so,
an
and then
amazing
at the same
woman.
time, like the Hocus Pocus,
Mm.
was coming out, and it was huge,
Hmm.
and there was just huge following online. And then a good pal of mine started the Christmas Con, which was a convention that honored,
Oh,
or celebrated Christmas
yeah.
movies. Did really
Hmm.
well, but then they also did a 1990s con, that celebrated all things from the 1990s.
Yeah.
The biggest draw for that was like Charmed.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I loved
So I'm like,
Charmed.
and so
Oh.
then I started looking around. It's like, all these people love all this witch content, but there's not
Hmm.
anything, there's no convention for witches, or there's no sort of place that sort of brings all of the great pop culture together of witches. Because I mean, we go back to like Wizard of Oz, like how popular that
Yeah.
was, how many books are written about witches,
Hmm.
how many
Hmm.
TV shows that have been popular and movies. And so then I started thinking, yeah, witches, witches. And then it really came to fruition in the summer of 2023 because the strikes hit.
Yeah.
So, first COVID hit, and that's just kind of killed my Hollywood career. And then I started slowly getting back, selling a couple more Christmas movies, 2021 and 2022. And then the strikes hit, and that just like pulled this, all the wind out of my sails. And it's like,
Mm.
oh God, I got to find something else to do. It's like, Comic Cons, chose that word because I'm like, let's do conventions and conjurings and conferences and
Yes, I love it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
connections. Let's do all, it'll be all cons, all pro witch. The cons are all pro witch. That was sort of my tagline. And then Shay was one of the first people who signed up. We have like only like 30 members in this convention or con. And I still really want to do all those things, but I just found once I started to get researching how to put a convention on, it's like I'm broke.
Yeah, it's a lot of work
Yeah,
and it's
exactly. but because I started the convention, this was 2023, summer 2023, July. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go start going to conventions and meeting people and figuring everything out. So it was a weekend in September 2023. There was a Massachusetts Paracon in Plymouth, Mass. And Patty Negri, who's considered the Hollywood witch, was going to be at this convention. I'm like, oh, I want to go see her. I want to go meet her and talk to her and see if I can bring her. And you know, if I can get a few names on board, then we can really start launching stuff.
Yeah.
And also that weekend in my hometown, a storyteller was telling the story called The Witch of Wellfleet. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'm going to go to Plymouth and I'm going to go meet Patty, and then I'm going to come back and, you know, listen to this Witch of Wellfleet and see about getting content and meeting the storyteller. So Friday, I went down to Plymouth. I went to, you know, I met Patty Negri, and I did this seance with her. And, you know, and so she's, you know, doing her little seance thing, and she starts out, she goes, there's a Henry here. There's a Henry here for somebody. A Henry's coming in very, very loud, and a Henry really wants to talk to her. And she turns and she looks at me and she's like, I think it's you. And I just immediately assumed it was Henry Beston because he's my favorite author. He wrote a book called The Outermost House, which has been my most beloved Cape Cod book since junior high. And his book is what got me into my Hollywood career, because it's, when I read his book, I just was determined to turn it into like a documentary or use it for a movie or do something. So he was sort of, and that day when I was walking the beach at Plymouth and looking out at the Atlantic Ocean, I was thinking, you know, I miss you, Henry Beston. I really got to do something with your book again. So then when I'm in that seance and she's like, there's a Henry here, and she's looking at me, I'm like, is it Henry Beston? Did he hear me? It's got to be him. So, you know, I talked with Patty, and she, you know, was encouraging, you know, about the Coven cons and stuff, and she's doing a lot of stuff. So, but it was great to meet her. And then, you know, I came back to here, Massachusetts, and I went to the, you know, Witch of Wellfleet story. And this was the story blew me away. So again, this happened in the 1700s. There's this beautiful young woman, you know, like 17, 18 years old, lived in Easton, Cape Cod. And this pirate or this sailor came to town, and they fell in love. His name was Sam. Her name was, she went by Goody. Her name was Maria. And they instant fell in love. Love at first sight. They just really passionate love story. You know, they consummated their love. And then he took off to go, you know, and he wanted to marry her. And his father said, you know, you're just some, you know, deadbeat sailor, you know, you're not worthy for my daughter. So he goes, well, I'm going to prove that I'm worthy for her. I'm going to go out and I'm going to make the money and come back and marry her.
Oh no! So did he turn into Dread Pirate Roberts?
Well, no, he turned into he's Black Sam Bellamy. So he takes off, and at this point he's not a pirate. He's just a sailor.
He's just a sailor. Yeah.
Yeah, off to try to make his money, and turns out she's pregnant.
Oh,
he's gone. Ooh. She's pregnant. The town knows she's pregnant, so now all of a sudden they're thinking she's a witch, she's a slut, she gets ostracized, you know.
Scarlet letter.
Her family, exactly, her family disowns her. She has to go live by herself. She has to give birth by herself, and the baby dies. So now they're really thinking she's a witch because she had to give birth. She's like 17 years old, out in the sand giving birth, and nobody helped her. Horrible. But in the meantime, he's off being a sailor, and he basically saves, you know, takes over this ship called the Litha, which was a slave ship.
Yeah.
Frees all the slaves. You know, some of them stay on with him as pirates. Turns it into a pirate ship. Becomes one of the most successful pirates without killing anybody, without enslaving anybody, without raping anybody.
Is the Dread Pirate Robert?
He is. He basically just scared everybody till they wet their pants.
So now he's sailing back, and he's been true to her. Like his gun. She made this like little like embroidery that he kept wrapped around his gun. You know, his pistol the whole time. So he's like, I'm coming back for her. I'm going to marry her. He had no idea who was a father, and the baby died. He didn't know that she was pregnant when you know he left. So he's coming back. There's a huge storm off the Cape. And, you know, legend is that she was like on the cliff, either conjuring up the storm because she was so pissed that he abandoned her and you know, did this to her. But there's a lot of people, me included, who think she was trying to save him, like say, go back, go back. If you come in the storm, you're going to hit the shoals and you're going to sink. He came in, hit the shoals, the ship sank. Most everybody died.
Yeah.
And they actually did discover the Litha ship like back in 84, 85 or somewhere there. And they found the gun and they found the embroidery.
Wow. I didn't know that. I knew they'd found the ship, but
so that story is like, okay, now I got to do witches and pirates.
Oh yeah, that is a.
Well, I've been like writing their love story in like 3 of my different things, including the No Doubt, which is the one I just wrote. This.
Can you give him a happy ending, please?
Exactly. And they die, and everyone lives happily in the ever after.
Exactly. So Hulda and Sam, Black Sam, he went by Black Sam because he had like really jet black hair, wavy jet black hair.
Black Sam Bellamy
and Patty Negri. They were my sort of my inspiration last year. So I did go and I wrote a love story it involves a pirate called Lanterns on the Beach, inspired Henry. I worked in Henry Beston's book. I'm trying to get that off the ground. I'm trying to create this like little series of fun content called The Witches Club and the Pirates Pub, about this love story between a witch and a
I love that.
And she has like little witches, a little club that hangs out in the pub that he owns. And then this spring I was like, I was just think I wanted to and then I wrote this really fun high concept 4-quadrant thing called The Curse of the Moon Ghost, which a pirate ship has a pirate story. It's like sort of like Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's present day, and that is currently being read by a few producers in Hollywood right now. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yes.
And there's a witch in there too. There's a good witch and a bad witch, twin sisters. And then this spring I was like, I still I still really want to write about witches and pirates. It hasn't come out yet. It's like
you are hooked.
You are hooked. Curse. I did the lanterns. Why is it still needling at me? So this March, I sat down and then I thought, what if the Henry wasn't Henry Beston? What if there's some other Henry, like a pirate Henry out there who wanted to talk to me? And the minute I thought that, No Doubt, the entire story just flooded into me and I could not write it fast enough.
Wow. Yeah, so this No Doubt, it's a charity thing that you're doing, right?
Well, it is. I wrote the book and then I self-published. I stuck it up. I haven't done any marketing. You guys are like my first marketing. and then I made a little video to go with it. I stuck up on YouTube. But and I'm starting a Facebook page, and I just want to have all sorts of like No Doubt content, like because it's just like No Doubt. Believe in your magic, No Doubt we love wine. No Doubt those books, like I just want to have because there's so much you can do with that word, so you don't even have to like follow along with the love story. And then what I've gotten into this whole thing during the whole season of Lent, of like painting No Doubt on rocks, and then wherever I go hiking or I take walkabouts, I leave like the little rocks for people to find.
That's so cool.
Just to have no doubt at all. It's just such a great phrase. So I really wanted to take off and have that sort of be a nonprofit organization, along with me still trying to launch all this other witchy content,
because you're donating you're using the proceeds for that for the No Doubt story, right?
Exactly. So far when I self-published right before Easter and I put it up on Facebook, I got a number of downloads already, so I already sent a check to the Herb Albert Foundation, because he does a lot with music and low income kids in schools and stuff.
Awesome.
I did want to say, I think we must be bonded somehow, because on my left forearm I have a pirate tattoo, but instead of like crossed swords or crossed crossbones, it's got ink quills, because it's a writing pirate, like a pirate poet. And on my right forearm I have a little witch. A little witchy cat.
Oh my God, we're soul sisters. That's so perfect.
Can't really show them. It's hard to show.
It's hard to show on
with the background.
My forearms. Yeah, there's my upside down pirate. And there's my upside down witchy cat. This way.
That's so awesome. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I want to come up with a little logo that has like the pirate skeleton thing, but he's wearing a witch's hat.
Oh, I like that.
Oh,
That's
that
cute.
sounds so cool.
That's cute. I like that.
I want to know what's the most interesting or unusual research you've ever done for a book, because it sounds like you've done some stuff.
Well, the seance
So
was pretty original.
that is so cool.
Probably the coolest story, I think, dates back to the Christmas card. Because when I was working on that, I came up with the idea for the Christmas card like in 1996. I had the general idea that I knew that the serviceman was going to receive this card when he was serving overseas, and it will touch him so much he wants to go and meet the woman who writes him the card. I didn't really have anything else other than that. And then back then, you know, I had to take all these like little part-time jobs just to support my writing habits.
Fair.
So I took this job at this lumber company, and I started working between Christmas and New Year's, and then the first Friday after New Year's, and this was 1999, one of the loggers walked in to get paid, and it was love at first sight. And I was like, and everybody around could see, it's like, oh, wow, you know, what's going on between the two of you? So I asked the owner, I'm like, and now I'm like, oh, okay, the Christmas card, I really want to write this one. I'll send it at a logging company. So I asked the owner's wife, I'm like, do you think I could go spend a day in the woods with him and learn about logging?
I have so many dirty jokes in my head right now.
You saucy minx, you.
So I did. I went, you know, so it was like mid-January. I got to go and spend a day in the woods. It was just so romantic and so sweet. We had breakfast together first, and then I cranked out the script super fast. I got it finished in March. I printed out 2 copies, one for my mom, because she was my biggest fan, and one for him. And I sort of drove up to, you know, his little cottage on the lake to drop it off and say, thank you for your help. You know, you're the inspiration kind of for this. And I spent the night, and I've never left. And we're going on 26 years together.
Oh,
that is amazing.
I
love this love story.
That's our anniversary, is that first night.
That is
that's the best meet cute I've heard in a long time.
Isn't that adorable?
That is fantastic.
That's awesome research, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the best research ever.
That's the best research I've ever heard. Yes.
And it's also, we sort of have the universe witchy blessing, because that was a year that there was 2 blue moons. Which is kind of rare to have, you know, 2 in a year. And the first one was when we met. And then the second one was when I brought him up the script. So it was like January and March for the 2 blue moons that year.
Oh my goodness gracious. That is like
so
the best. I love it. I love it. And I would say you should write
romance. You know?
It totally is. And I would say you should write that, but you kind of did with the Christmas card a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, even though I wrote a character of him, and then they cut it out. You know?
Oh no!
You know, there's no official logger. They talk about the loggers in the movie, but we don't actually meet them.
No, it's too bad.
Yeah,
that would have been fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So now here is a little very, very important question. Inquiring minds need to know. So a lot of your Christmas scripts have been made into movies with some really fantastic actors, but if one of your witch projects were to get picked up for TV or a movie or whatever, which one and who would you want to play your main character, your main leads?
Oh, okay. Very good question. I read that one and I thought about it. And Lanterns on the Beach is the Cape Cod one. And we want to do some sort of kind of really low key making of it. And the woman who told the storyteller, Rona Leventhal, who told the story of, you know, Black Sam and Maria, is just, you know, she's an older woman. She's, you know, in her 60s, beautiful long white hair, fantastic presence. It's like nobody knows who she is, but it's like, I want people to know who she is. And I would do local actors, because there's a
that's
local
cool.
actor who starred with Rona in a local production of Our Town. And he has long hair, a little scruffy. He lives in New York City now, Teo Gabriel. And they just have such wonderful energy between them.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that idea of using
local
talent.
They're unknowns, but, you know, I'd like to have them become known.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
But the other night I watched a movie called Half Magic. Have either of you seen it?
I love that movie.
Never seen it before. I watched it for the first time like last night. It's like, I got to do something with Heather Graham.
I know.
I love Heather Graham.
It's Heather Graham. It is Stephanie Beatriz who's been in like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Man on the Inside. Her too. Yes. Okay. And who's the other one? I forget who the third one is.
Sorry, I got a little warm.
But it's amazing because it's so female. It's so much female empowerment. It's a female centric story. It's kind of so like
raw and organic.
Yes, it is. It's beautiful. Yeah. And how they discover that basically women are. Well, you better get to watch it. I actually own it. I actually bought it. When it became available to buy. Actually, I bought it before I even saw it because I wanted to see it so bad. And then I watched it and I was like, this is amazing. The whole thing is that women are half magic, basically. And it's about finding your power and all that. And finding, and finding the power of sisterhood as well.
Exactly. Yes.
And so it is a absolute must-see. I'm totally blanking on who the third actress is. Why?
Is it another hot woman? Because I'm there.
Well, I'm sure probably it is. Let's see, Half Magic. I'm Googling here. It came out
the thing is they all felt natural too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It came out in like 2018, something like that.
Yes. Yes.
Angela Kinsey.
Angela Kinsey
from The Office.
Yeah. Okay. And Molly Shannon is in it.
Yeah.
I love them both, but not in the way I love Stephanie Beatriz, which is a very special way.
Oh, he's so great at the ending. The orgasm part was so fun.
Okay, I know what I'm doing this afternoon. So,
I love you, Heather Graham. It's like
she's amazing.
She directed it, so it's like
she did.
And I got to find witchy with her.
She funded it herself and everything, right? She didn't go through like all the big Hollywood what's-its because she wanted to have She wanted to have the control over it to make it, female centric and
feel real. It just feels so real. It doesn't feel Hollywood.
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, definitely watching it this afternoon. I would literally watch anything with Heather Graham or Stephanie Beatriz in it.
And they're both in this, so I don't know what you're going to do.
I'm probably going to, you know what? Maybe I can't watch it today because, the excitement of meeting you, Joni, and then watching these two women in a movie. I don't know if my body can handle that much in one day. It is awesome.
Yeah, so good.
Okay, I got so carried away with that. I don't even know what we're doing anymore.
I guess we can just ask Joni, what her plans for this year are, writing and creating and publishing and witching.
Okay, good questions. Well, hopefully I can, make No Doubt big. Hopefully I can get more stuff going with the Coven Con because I really think our doing Mrs. Claus's grimoire, Mrs. Claus, Santa Claus's wife, is a witch. I think that'd be so fun to have an anthology with stories.
That would be really, really fun.
That sounds amazing.
So that we're working on. Shay and I are working on that, and hopefully we can, bring other writers into it. Would be awesome.
I'm a writer.
Yeah. You join the Coven. Join the Coven.
How do I join the Coven? Wait, I interrupted you.
I'll send you info. I kind of stopped in invitations but I should figure out because I was like, I don't want to keep inviting people if I don't have anything concrete, really good to share yet. So, and it's been taking longer than I anticipated for that, but I'm still working on it. That's the big thing, which is Coven Con stuff and No Doubt, and hopefully shooting lanterns on the beach on Cape Cod later this year. It'd be awesome. We want to launch a whole series of fun little videos and fun stuff, and you have a social media page for the Witches Pub, the Witches Club, and the Pirates Pub. I'm right now putting a lot of time into mentoring mostly screenwriters, not authors. And having great success. A lot of the writers I'm working with, they had movies on the different streamers and channels last year. There's going to be a bunch on this year. Some of them are winning contests, so that's been really fulfilling. So that's sort of been my main thing. So I haven't written a Christmas script in a few years.
I think witches and Christmas kind of go together because, like, Yule is, you know, the big witch holiday,
Most of our
and
traditions come from pagan stuff.
absolutely. And so I really enjoy, like, when I went in my series, especially my witchy series, I really enjoy doing like Christmas novellas, and blending magic and all the Christmassy Yule trappings, and it's a lot of fun. So
I did a Christmas novella for one of my series, and I accidentally killed most of the town.
Whoops.
It was called Sleigh Bells Ring, but like SLAY.
That'll do it.
I think in my previous one was also a lot of death. It was a Christmas wedding, and some of the guests died. I have a problem.
In one of my first drafts of a Merry Scary Christmas Tale, I was thinking it was going to be like an anthology where they're all sitting around, you know, like the fire and, you know, talking, you know, sharing, you know, Christmas, you know, scary stories. And one of them, you know, it's no longer an anthology, but I want to do something with this story. One of them was, so, you know, Santa Claus is out doing his thing Christmas Eve, and his little time device, you know, whacks out on him. So he gets, like, you know, sent to the ground, to Earth, and he gets sent to Salem during the witchy years.
Oh no.
So there's this young woman who like finds him and saves him, but there's town people that see it, and they see this, you know, guy in red and this beard, and they think he's the devil. So they're like, so she helps him sort of find his reindeer and get his time thing back working, and he sets off, and now they're like, hang her. So they go and they go and they're about ready to hang her, and Santa comes back and he sleighs in and with his reindeer, and he cuts the rope and he whisks her away to, you know, his time was the 1970s, you know, and plops her down to now this young single guy is, you know, living in the house that she had been living in back in Salem, and it's a love story, you know. So she saves Santa, you know, everybody thinks she's a witch, and Santa saves her. And I just thought that was a fun story. So I wanted to start with that story.
That's so cute. I love it. Well, she could be a real witch and then become Mrs. Claus, and you can put that in the grimoire.
Oh my God, that's yes.
I thought you were going to say they fell in love when he whisked her away after saving her. I thought he was going to be, and then they lived happily ever after.
Yeah, see, there you go.
That story. Yeah, that's how.
And then it'll fit perfectly into the Mrs. Claus's
that would be like
grimoire.
the intro.
Yeah,
that would be the intro, and then everything else after that story will be, you know, Mrs. Claus's whatever anybody else submits.
People, you have witnessed a brainstorming live and in person.
Yay, that's so cool.
I love it.
Oh, this has been so much fun.
So where can people find out more about you? Tell us where to go.
Yeah, tell us where to go.
Oh, I kind of live in a cave. You know?
Well, we don't want to find you personally.
Well, yeah, we don't want to send
don't tell us your address
to stalk you down in your woods. No, like, you know, your books.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah, I got to get better at social media. I have I'm just starting now on Facebook. The page is called No Doubt Rocks. You know, in honor of the little rocks I'm making, but also No Doubt Rocks. We're gonna rock this baby. We're gonna like just do a lot of No Doubt. So that I'm going to start building up. I'm probably going to start an Instagram page for the Witches Club and the Pirates Pub, because I think that would be fun, and that would be a good place to, because they're so visual, so I can do a lot of fun visual things for that story. I have a YouTube channel called Wicked Mary Media. And that's where you can go watch the No Doubt video, and I have a few other videos up there, including there's a witch themed video, and how I chose Wicked Mary because Mary, M-E-E-R, you know, M-E-R-R-Y, you know, Merry Christmas. I've done so much Christmas. And Wicked, I'm into witches now, but also Wicked is Rob from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Wicked cool.
Wicked cool, man.
Wicked pissa.
I use Wicked a lot in that particular sense.
Yes,
yeah. And I have a Etsy shop called Wicked Mary Creations. And right now it's all digital downloads. So there's a lot of fun digital things you can go, and you can download the No Doubt book there. Again, 100% proceeds of everything No Doubt is going to go to the not only the nonprofits featured in the story, but as it hopefully grows to other nonprofits as well. And I hope to
all
have
this
a whole
info will
bunch
be
of
in our show notes.
Yes.
Pardon?
Well,
Okay.
we're going to definitely put links to all this stuff in the show notes so that everybody can find all this good stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Joni. Oh, yes, the Salem shirt.
If you're on YouTube or not, if you're not on YouTube, you got to go to YouTube and see this amazing shirt that I am so jealous of. I'm also jealous of your pink gorilla.
Yes, that's super cute.
Yeah. That was a present because I used to love Tab. Tab was my drink of choice. I mean, if they still made it and you asked me that cocktail drink, I would say Tab. And a friend got into that and said, "Hey, this reminded me of that Tab can you always had with you."
I love it. I love it.
So
everybody be sure to check out the links for Joni's projects and support her and her No Doubt project and some great charities. And thanks for coming, Joni.
Oh, no. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I was so excited to get to talk to Joni.
It was great.
In case you missed all the mentions of it, Hallmark.
She's a hoot. She is so fun to talk to. She has such great energy. I just love her.
So we're at that point in the pod where I'm going to pull a card.
Yes.
And I'm using my Litha deck by Juliet Diaz. On the back of the card is the moon. And then 4 butterflies surrounding it. And it's so pretty.
Love that deck.
And so I shuffled before we started. But as for always, did not pre-draw, so I don't know what's happening.
I'm so excited to see what's going to come up here.
I'm gonna ooh, oh, ooh. That actually was just about to fall over. That was not the best way to do that. But I hope everybody on YouTube enjoyed. All right, so I have citrus fruits. We just talked about those.
Yeah.
This says, it is time to surrender to your unraveling. Allow the waking sight to expand and illuminate you. Go to the book.
Go to the book. Well, we have been talking about expansion, expanding your goals and things. That's interesting.
All right. The keywords are spiritual opening, cleansing, and purifying. So it's time to surrender. The brightness, freshness, and powerful cleansing properties of citrus fruits have appeared as a sign of your spiritual awakening. It's a powerful portal that promises the deliverance of the illusions you have experienced up until this point. You are literally waking up and beginning to question everything. Old teachings, especially those to do with religion and spiritual beliefs, may begin to feel wrong or elicit doubts on whether or not you're actually receiving benefits. You may find that things naturally come to a conclusion when receiving these cards. Relationships drift away and you grow apart. A house no longer feels like home, or it's time to move on from a career or job. These are intentional decisions that feel right. And they're not destructive or devastating. You are simply beginning to align with your soul. Ultimately, you will begin to feel more light and free as a result of this process, and many people will begin to experience a deeper understanding of their soul's calling.
Interesting.
That goes really well with what we were talking about. It's a time to kind of let go of the old stuff and move forward with your intentions and with the gratitude and feeling like what you've done is taking you to the next place.
Absolutely. That's really great. Every time
now that I don't have lemon in my glass.
Well, you can go up and after we finish here and add some lemon.
The deck was taunting me.
See, you needed to. Sometimes your heart forgets something. Maybe that
just pulled the card before, and it would have been like, shoot, lemon.
Or perhaps what it's saying is that you're already letting go of those things, so you can move on to Portugal.
I'm letting go of citrus fruit. Oh no, there's so much citrus fruit. I will never forget lemons. Because I will be able to see them every time I leave my house.
Exactly.
Just growing on trees all willy-nilly.
That's fantastic. I love it. I would be like, lemon drops every night. Cocktail hour.
When you come and we'll sit on my balcony and we'll have cocktails or wine and we'll watch the sunset over the city.
I love it. I'm so excited. So, where can everybody get these, the deck and the books and Joni's stuff? Where all the stuff? Tell us.
Well, why don't you look right down there in the show notes?
Ooh.
Oh, we did spontaneous jazz hands.
Awesome.
So yeah, check out the recipe. Get links to Joni's stuff. Our Instagram, all of our stuff as well. Anything we really mentioned today. And just find out more about us. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Smash that like button.
Rate us. Send it to your friends, enemies, casual acquaintances. Boss, whoever.
Whoever. Anyone. Your cat.
Maybe only if you have a good relationship with your boss.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I don't know.
We don't want to get you fired.
Send it to everybody. We don't want you to be fired.
Thanks so much for joining us today and putting up with our random silliness.
And once again, the Caftan Coven wishes you a blessed Litha.
Blessed Litha. See you next time.